Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. And we're going to take a 3-count breath in. So 1, 2, 3 in the nose, and 6 breaths out, 6-count breath out the nose. So it's 1, 2, 3. Breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's begin. Breathe in for 1, 2, 3. Breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in for 1, 2, 3. Breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue on your own. Take a deep breath in, suspend your breath, and breathe out. Okay. I have a question for you. In light of everything that's going on in the Middle East today, or in these days, you think humans are just inherently tribal, or like we're like it's like almost like a gang mentality, like if you take a look at the Palestinian and the Israeli people, not even getting into like the whole dynamics and the politics that's going on there, but those people look exactly alike. They have the exact same culture. It's kind of reminds me of like the Crips and Bloods in Los Angeles. Like two groups are killing each other that looks exactly the same and have the same everything, culture and everything, but it's all based on like what you identify as, and so you think that humans are inherently tribal, or they have a gang mentality?
Well, definitely, I think that having a tribe mentality or having this gang mentality is what helped brought us, to where we are today. If we take this and we combine it with other things, such as the fact that as human beings we are social, interactive creatures. Um, we wouldn't, just like other primates and some other animals that are not in the primate families, but we find ourselves, and this even we can see this even if we can recollect from when we were young children, or we can see our nieces and nephews and our children, that sense of inclusion is what kind of drives us. Kind of keeps us feeling like there's a sense of I don't know, purpose. I don't know if that's the correct word to say, but it feels like my life is worth something if I'm included or if I'm valuable to something. And if I'm in that section, if I'm in that's, and like you said before, not to try to really go too much into depth on the current situation in the Middle East, which has been going on for quite a long time now. It's just been escalated in the last week and a half now. Last week now. If you think about it, we've always been like this, where it's always been about trying to see what the other side is doing, see what my side is doing, and indifferent to how similar we are, but because they are different, because they're not part of my inclusion group, I'm going to try to make sure that I keep my inclusion by keeping them excluded. You understand?
And so what do you think determines a group? What identification markers? uh,
I don't know. I think that well, that can be various, and it can be, say it can be more subtle or it can be more blatant. Sometimes it can be the color of your skin. Sometimes it can be the language. Sometimes it can be the religion. Like you said, a lot of times, like we, like I said, I'm not going to really touch bases on what's going on the Middle East so much, but they speak very similar versions of their languages. They have very, very long storied pasts which are shared, They all look very similar, so they can all communicate with each other with no problems. But it's something that's been, a very atavistic thing that's been going on for generations and generations, where, maybe someone said, I feel more liked and loved by this side, so I want to stick with this side. And usually these are the people who are I think, more dangerous, when you see again, like I don't want to bring up too much race involved, when I remember when we were growing up, sometimes the most dangerous people from the hood were the people who didn't look like us from the hood,
Mhm.
because they wanted to prove themselves, and they had to prove themselves so much by even probably not selling their soul, but selling what their image of being included in that group meant. Sometimes you may
Mhm.
say, I want to be with that group. I want to be, what I'm saying? I want to be best friends with him. I want to be her boyfriend or whatever. And sometimes you do things like, that's even more extreme than what you had imagined, just being in that situation. So I think a lot of times this tribal mentality is all boils down to this natural, not atavistic, not a long happening thing, but a natural thing inside of us to wanting to belong, for us wanting to be included, and by being included, we kind of like shift focus of our other ideals, what the other things that we think deep down, which make us who we are. Those things, they get pushed to the side just in order to try to be included in that group or with that person or with those people.
Okay, do you think it's beyond this just wanting to be included? What about the fact of maybe the fear of being left out and being like and being not having the resources to survive? So you need to kind of just do
In fact, that's what
something.
exactly that's what I'm saying. That's what that inclusion is. So,
Mhm.
um, I realize that okay, I'm a person who was brought up in the suburbs. White collar family. We had it going on. My parents. I was orphaned by my parents. Now I'm trapped in the hood. I really don't really feel vibe with these guys, but I know that if I don't go along with it and I don't participate and I don't learn this style, then I'm gonna die. Not necessarily by someone shooting me, but I'm not gonna be able to survive. You understand? So, like you said
Mhm.
before, like I said before, being part of a group means that it's what's necessary in survival, or it's what was necessary in survival. I still think it is today, maybe in different forms and different facets, but we do need to be included. And the problem is that I think that after generation, we start to see that other people, even though they're not included, we don't start to see them as excluded, but we start to see them also as enemies, you know? And
Mhm.
and these things get pushed on, and like we talked about in our last podcast, sometimes these things get talked about in the house and not in public. And then for generations, they stay in the houses, they stay in the same families until it boils to the surface that it's no longer sustainable.
Interesting point. But you hit it on the you talked about a very interesting nuance. Like yes, you have this need to want to identify with a certain group, a for survival, and maybe even beyond for survival, maybe because you have this inner sense of wanting to belong, but also with that comes along the hatred of another group or
Exactly,
another tribe,
exactly,
because
exactly,
it's not like it can be a mutually exclusive thing that both of us survive and thrive. Either it's
exactly,
one or the other. It's do or
exactly,
die.
exactly,
But
exactly.
where do you think that mindset come from? You think that comes from like being in the desert and
Well, definitely, yeah, definitely. I think
foraging back
being
thousands of
tribal,
years ago,
exactly,
and there was scarce resources out there.
exactly. No, definitely. In fact, like I said, yeah, being tribal doesn't mean, unfortunately, being tribal doesn't mean also respecting or letting other tribes thrive. Um, Even if you are thriving, I think that's part of that naturalistic instinct for us to be competitive. I don't know. I really, the thing is, like I said, and something I really think is that I think it's very difficult for us to think that we can't be competitive, because I think that's part of who we are. We have to be competitive. We wouldn't be here after
Mm.
uh, so many millennia if we had been from the beginning competitive. Has it gone to the point? I know it might be one of those things where we could
Mm.
actually try to shed our competitiveness by, like for example, how our eyebrows aren't as useful to us as they used to be, to try to block out the sweat, while we're chasing wild boars or whatnot.
Mm.
It is possible that that aspect of that existential competitiveness, of being competitive, where we are actually killing other people, or we are making situations dire for other people, just because they're not us. And we see this even in the Western world. We see this. Why is it so many times that the bankers and the top 1%? Why do they keep looking out for themselves? Not only because they can make more money, because I'm quite sure that if they really thought about it, they could make more money by having us make more money too. I just think that they don't think about that because they don't feel like they're part of our tribe, or they don't want us part of their tribe, and they see this competition that's already brewed and has gone on for so many years. So they want to continue with that separation.
Mm. I get what you're saying, that they want to continue with that separation. But
Exactly.
Phil Jackson actually talked about this, and reminded me about like his hierarchy of competition and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And he said,
Yeah.
like, at first it's just like we're gonna try to, well, not first, but one of the lowest level of competing and
Uh-huh.
playing basketball is like me against them. And
Exactly.
then the highest levels, and the highest level of mindset of competition is not me against them. It's about us working together as one and doing the best that we can, no matter what.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Exactly.
so do you think, as humans, you think that's something that we can evolve to, or that's something that we're really maybe ready to transcend to, but there's a lot of the powers that be that kind of hold us back into that kind of like archaic mindset of me against them type of mindset.
That's a good question. The optimistic me wants to think that yes, we've reached that point. The pessimistic me says that that'll never happen, but the realistic me saying that even if it could happen, it wouldn't be who we are. We are me against everyone, unless if you're with me. If you're with me, then you're with me. If you're not with me, you're against me. And I think that mentality is part of what makes humans human. Um, if I want to go off on a side note here just a second, because and
Mhm.
I think it might not seem relevant, but to me, I've always looked at it. I've always seen it as part of this whole wanting to belong, inclusion thing, or seeing the other group worse off than we are. That's another reason why I really don't want to try to get too much into depth of what's going on in the Middle East right now, because it's easy to hear of bad news. When I think of how many times people turn on the news and all we find are depressing stories, sad stories, things like that, and then I say, the real reason why is because humans like seeing other humans suffer. You know,
Mm.
uh, we glorify sufferance. We glorify sufferance. We we don't we don't we very rarely think about the good things. Let's see. For example, if I tell someone, okay, what happened on the 26th of December 2006, I think it was, and everyone's like, oh yeah, that was when there was a tsunami in Sri Lanka the day after Christmas, blah blah blah. Thousands and thousands of people died, blah 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 blah, right? And then you ask someone, what about the 11th of September 2001. Oh, that's when America was attacked by terrorists. But if you ask so many people, what happened on the 22nd of April in 2016? Why is that date important? Or what happened on the 16th of July 1969? When you bring up those days, they're like, I don't know, man. What happened? The former was the Paris Agreement, in which almost all but three United Nations countries signed to try to reduce climate change. That's humanity coming together. All of them, all of the tribes. Or you ask them, or the 16th of July, 1969, that's when we landed on the moon. A moment to celebrate. But we remember and we celebrate those tragedies. The D-Days, the Pearl Harbors. But we don't think about the triumphs that we had as humanity. Because deep down inside, we want to see other people who are not us suffer. Because we say, damn, I thought my life was bad, but they got it more effed up than we do. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, do you think it's that way, or you think we've just been conditioned to be that way? I mean, honestly, I'm going to say I never, but I really don't. I actually can't say I never. I never want to see bad for anybody. That doesn't make me feel better to see anybody else suffer. I feel compassionate for other people, no matter what. And also, yes, I am. I guess everybody is kind of like, we like sensationalism. We're attracted to like dramatic events and stuff like that. And it is kind of boring to see something happy go on. I guess because
but let's go into the moon. It's not spectacular. It's not spectacular going to the moon. It's not spectacular to bring all but three nations together to make one agreement. How many times do you have arguments with friends in your WhatsApp group just to figure out where to go to eat for lunch on Friday? You have 5 people and they're like, oh, let's go here. And you had all of these countries agree to at least make a move forward in that. That's spectacular to me.
It is spectacular.
Like you said before, when it comes to sensational, is it conditioned? I think so, but I think it's also like, when we talk about different forms of hypnotism, this could be part of our dormant, recessive ego or egotism or selfishness. Because yes, I don't think many people want to see people suffer, but we constantly look for the suffering, and we rarely tout the triumphs. I mean, even for those who are Christians, you have, of all of the things that was said to be done by your Savior, the one symbol that you have to acknowledge him is him being crucified. I'm sorry. That's glorifying the evil and the badness in man. I understand the symbolism behind it to show how much he suffered and how much he gave up. But you can also show the good things that he did for people, so that other people can carry on, can move on. It's all throughout.
He did turn water into wine.
He did turn water into wine. We don't go around with water bottles like, yo, got my water bottle, got my wine extract. About to turn this. Jesus Christ, son. No, we don't do that though. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, I think it's but we're conditioned. Like with hypnotism, we're conditioned to only things that we will allow ourselves to be conditioned to.
No, but that's my point. Maybe we've just been conditioned for so long.
But you're not going to be hypnotized or conditioned to something and do something that you would never do deep down inside. It's dormant, like I said before. It may be dormant, recessive.
Like in our deep subconscious. You're saying
exactly,
or in our nervous system. It's different.
Exactly.
Our subconscious is just programming, and programming goes way back, even before our parents, our grandparents, our great parents. It comes from where I'm from, and it's just like a computer. We've been programmed a certain way. Like, oh yes, we're supposed to get excited when somebody's suffering. Look at that crucifix. Oh yeah.
Exactly.
But is that deep down in our nervous system? That's what I'm asking. Is that who we are, really deep down inside, or we are, or that's just
there are parts? I think
that's where we've been conditioned for thousands and thousands of years, and that's who we think we are. That's the question.
Yes, but I think that yes. I think, like I said before, I think that's something like I said before. It's part of our ego. It's part of our personal pride. It is something that is natural to us. It may
Okay,
be
so
recessive, it may be dormant, and I think that this boils down to the same thing when we see in animals in the wild, which is what we were 200,000 years ago. When they hear cries, when they hear screams of their fellow animals, they know to take shelter, they know to run, they know to come and help out based on the gang call that they call. You know what I'm saying? So if you see a lemur saying, show up, you know that gang gonna come out. You know the blood lemurs are gonna come out there. You know what I'm saying? To help them out. You know, but the thing is, like I said, I think that this is something that has been with us from the beginning of our species. It's something that I don't think is necessary to continue on in our species, but it's very difficult to try to weed out something that is natural to us and that has been going on for so long. You know?
okay, so I take back my comment. Of course, like when you program a computer, it is in the computer. Everything that you program a computer, if it's not in it, it's not going to be activated. So
Exactly, exactly.
there's no question that's in us. But it's about focusing our
Yeah,
energy. We
definitely.
focus our energy so much on glorifying sensationalism, glorifying people suffering, glorifying our differences, glorifying which group and tribe that we want to be to. So that becomes overly activated, and compassion doesn't become activated.
Exactly, exactly,
Sympathy doesn't become activated. Inclusion doesn't become activated.
exactly.
And it's like going back to animals. You take a look at pit bulls, and we grew up in Detroit.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
afraid of pit bulls. I'm telling you, dude, like pit bulls are crazy, dude, back in the
yeah,
days because of their conditioning.
yeah.
But now I live in LA and I see women, these woke women with sweaters on their pit bulls,
Exactly,
and
exactly,
these are
exactly,
the
exactly.
sweetest dogs ever. So guess what? The pit bull has both sweetness and
Yeah,
aggression,
yeah.
and it's just about what it's about what you feed that
And it's
dog.
just like us all. We all have all of these attributes.
So
Depending
we
on what we
definitely
bring.
have that attribute. No question. We're a multi-dimensional being, but our society is focused so much on just bringing out the negative in us, or
Yeah,
maybe shall I say the powers that be, because it's easier to market us when they put us in small groups and small
exactly.
little demographics and like that, so they
Yeah,
know how to market us to certain niches and whatnot, and
yeah.
so.
So
Especially
I
now with
definitely,
social media,
in
because
fact, like
we
I
have
tell you,
algorithms that drives us into like a certain group of people, so they can so they can target market us. But in reality, we're much more alike than we're disalike. I mean, that goes not only for the Palestinians and the Israelis, but that also goes into like all people. Human beings are 99+% alike. I mean, I'm talking about the darkest dude from Africa and the whitest dude from Finland are
exactly.
99.99% alike genetically.
Yeah, exactly.
so
No, no, definitely,
so the
definitely,
only difference is really just maybe a little bit of aesthetics because your family had to adapt to living in a certain environment, and that's
exactly.
about it. And conditioning
Yeah, that's all it
and
is. That's
cultural
all it is.
conditioning. So
Exactly,
so I
exactly.
mean, I
And
think yes, we do have we all have an ego, and I think I think people look at the ego bad, and I think there's nothing wrong with the ego. I think the ego is just energy. It's just how you
it is.
use this
It's
energy.
pure. It's pure. It's pure
Yeah, it's pure
energy.
energy. Like if you use this energy to like you want to serve something higher, like a God, if
Exactly.
that's what you believe in, or if just even serve your community,
Exactly.
that can be very powerful. But if you use
Exactly.
it just for your own self satisfaction and self gratification, you know, then that's when it becomes problematic.
Yeah, definitely, definitely,
So,
definitely. No, no, without doubt. I think that and that's the thing. Okay. Let's say this because to be honest with you, I think that even though we've been around, we've been progressing for millennia, we're still not ready to know some of the things and to comprehend some of the things that we do, already, So, just as the progress of a species, I don't think
so
that
you
I
still
get
think we're in our
develops.
infantile, we're in our infancy.
No, we are in our infancy as far as being here, as far as our presence, but we've made huge strides as far as saying our accomplishments. Saying
For sure.
um, there's been I mean we could talk about all of the we could bring up all of the futurists or sci-fi writers or and everyone would tell you that for any type of species, indifferent if we were here or not, they need time to advance to arrive to certain things, and we got within our weaknesses. Our weakness. This again. This is what I said. This plays on our or our our true ideal of trying to fit in any way necessary and trying to stay alive, even at the cost of that other guy over there in that other group. You know what I'm saying? Because we are even probably the weakest species on Earth physically, but we were able to adapt the environment around us so well that it doesn't even matter if we're the weakest species anymore. We have soft skins, we have bones that break. You know, we're not the longest living animals. You know, so but you know we made so many advances that you know our natural physical selves have been so far detached to where we have come, you know, and I think we've come too far because now these are things that we should have rooted out if we had a normal progression. I think over millions of years instead of 200, 300,000 years. I think we would have rooted out this ideal of tribalism.
So you're saying as a society we bypassed a couple steps that might have been
exactly
necessary for us to
we grew up too
have a
fast.
much more sustainable future, a much more sustainable, Perfect. Harmonious future.
And we grew up too fast. We should have probably learned how to. We should have probably, like I said, I don't know what we should have done, what we shouldn't have done, but I think that you know it's kind of like when you teach your 10-year-old kid how to take 3 trains, 2 transfers on the bus. You know what I'm saying? There's like some things that you can't go back to. So like when someone else looks at that child as being immature, not being able to fit for himself or look after himself, like whoa. I can take 17 buses. I know the whole bus schedule, bro. You know what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying? So it becomes difficult for example, when we started creating different weapons, arms, firearms in particular, to try to go back to trying to resolve our differences. Because at that point it's like, okay, I see what you're saying, but you know what? I don't like you so much, so I'm just gonna shoot you. You know? Mm-hmm. Screw it. You know what I'm saying? I like your land a little bit better than mine. And say hello to my little friend, you know? My musket with my bayonet on it, you know what I'm saying? What are you gonna do with it? You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that's the thing. I think we grew up as a species too fast to weed out some of those things, you know, because we are, and even like I said, you know, and this is proven in almost all of the animals in the species in the animal kingdom that there is strength in numbers. Banding together do make you more prosperous, more prolific, and much more happier. But we're one of those few that don't do that, you know. And I'm not talking about against other species. I'm talking about against ourselves, you know, right? So, you know, obviously, you know, you might run into a gorilla tribe. You know what I'm saying? They see the other gorilla tribe. Okay, just stay out my way. We good. You know what I'm saying? Don't invade my space. But yeah, but we're like, okay, you're another gorilla tribe. I'm a gorilla tribe as humans. And even though we're out of each other's faces, I still want to invade your space because you know why? Because I haven't learned how to coexist. Because I think that coexistence means that my group must be the only prosperous thing. If my group isn't the prosperous thing, that means that everything else is a risk to our survival. So we're going to try to eliminate you.